So first, let me introduce to you Kristen Herron. She is the JPASS coordinator with the Florida SEALs. She has been with the Florida Association of Centers for Independent Living as the JPASS program manager since 2016. The JPASS program is a statewide work incentive program that she will tell you more about. She served as a member of the JPASS Oversight Council, which was responsible for the recommendations and oversight of the program. She has a decade of experience in the field of Social Security disability determinations, medical disability adjudication, non-attorney advocate and disability advocates of North Florida. So with that, Kristen, would you like to take it away?
Yes, thank you so much. Are you able to see my PowerPoint presentation okay?
Yes,
Okay.
just hit the kiosk button at the bottom.
Which one is that?
Kristen, your background is kind of bad. Could you just blur it from your video?
Yeah, it sometimes does that.
Yeah, depending on the light and the webcam, it's done that for a few people. Thank you.
Screen one. Sorry. Are we there now?
Yes, ma'am.
But you can't see me. That's okay. It does this sometimes if we go.
Wait, no, not yet. Wait a minute. That just starts the recording. So hold on a second.
Okay, I'm sorry. Are we ready? Okay, I'm assuming everyone can hear me. I'm not sure. I'm Kristen Herron. Thank you, Travis, so much for the kind words and the background. You didn't get anything wrong. I really appreciate it. I just want to start really briefly with this. Every morning, working people in Florida wake up and lie in bed. They think ahead to their day, meetings to attend, projects that are due, reports that must.
Yeah, I need y'all to be quiet for a sec.
Some of these people have something more immediate on their
Okay,
mind.
all right. I'm on a different laptop, so that's why it's taking me a little bit longer to do something. So, all right, so I am ready. I'm going to count down from 5. I will get quiet at 3, and then.
Okay. Some of these folks have more immediate things on their mind, and that's their personal care attendants. And who's going to get them out of bed, bathe them, assist them with catheter and bowel treatments, and dress them and get them out the door. And because of that without that assistance, they can't go to work. So JPASS is short for the James Patrick Memorial Work Incentive Personal Attendance Services and Employment Assistance Program, which can be found in Florida Statute 413.402. James Jimmy Patrick was born in 1946. He was born with an astrocytoma, which is a spinal cord, on his a tumor on his spinal cord, excuse me. At 16 months old, he was given only 2 to 4 months to live. He did undergo quite a bit of treatment and suffered a recurrence of the tumor at age 12. He relearned how to walk several times, and ultimately he became a wheelchair user due to his muscle atrophy. He was a consumer of personal attendant services. Jimmy graduated from the University of North Florida in 1981 and began a career with the state attorney's office in Jacksonville. And that there will be more to that. Jimmy worked in the Citizens Dispute Settlement Program, Youth Mediation Work Program, Worthless Check Program, and eventually headed the Restitution Enforcement Program. While working at the state attorney's office, he developed a passion for the Tax Collection Enforcement Diversion Program. He felt it was wrong for millions of dollars of sales tax to go uncollected. We're talking about businesses that collect sales tax but don't remit it to the state. So that passion ignited his desire, and he got with his longtime friend, State Senator Wise, to file legislation that would allow those state attorney circuits to pursue unpaid sales tax, so those funds could be used to assist working adults with disabilities who require personal care attendance. Just one second. And because of Jimmy's advocacy and creativity, the Tax Collection Enforcement Diversion Program was established. It's operating out of 8 circuits at the present time. Participating circuits collect revenue from persons who have not remitted their reported sales tax. The criteria is worked out between the Department of Revenue and the state attorney's office. FAAST gets 75% of those funds collected in order to fund the JPASS program. We contract with the state attorney, so we actually pay them for the work that they do. And yes, it was a creative, very creative way that we were able to get this program started in the early 2000s. Again, we have 8 circuits: Duval, Pinellas, Orange, Miami-Dade, Hillsborough, Palm Beach, Broward, and Lee County. You might notice they're the large judicial circuits. There's got to be quite a lot of a population, a lot of unremitted sales tax for it to work in certain circuits. Like here in Tallahassee, it wouldn't work. It would cost more for us than it would to in other areas. Eligibility criteria. So in order to become a JPASS participant, you've got to have a significant and chronic disability. Travis mentioned he's a quadriplegic. Most of the people on the program have a spinal cord injury of some level, cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, which is advanced, those sorts of things. You've got to require and need support for at least 2 activities of daily living, and these are specific to ambulation, bathing, dressing, eating, grooming, and toileting. You've got to be 18, be a U.S. citizen and Florida resident or a legal permanent resident. You must be able to acquire and manage your own PCA, your own personal care attendant. You've got to be employed and earning at least the poverty threshold, which is a little less than $15,000 and not more than $200,000. You may not receive SSI or SSDI, and you can't be participating in Medicaid home and community-based services. That it wouldn't make sense because you could receive those services with Medicaid home and community-based services. It would be like double dipping. Application checklist. We have an application on our website. It's www.floridasills.org. We need a proof of citizenship, residency, a diagnosis verification form that can be completed by a physician, proof of employment through pay stubs, a tax return, and then we need a letter saying that you do not receive SSI or SSDI. And finally, what is the benefit? And Travis weighed in on that. The benefit is money. It's a reimbursement of your actual personal care attendant expenses for each month for $2,160 each month, or about $26,000 annually. Today is June 2nd. I'm beginning to receive May documents from participants. We will process that reimbursement by the 15th of June, so it's a very quick turnaround. And it's important to highlight, you've got to be able to manage your PCA, so you are the employer and the PCA is your employee. PCAs can be family members. In fact, most are. They are considered household employees by the IRS. You can use multiple PCAs. You can even use agencies. We've got people that do a little bit of all of it. All right, I love this slide. And these are real people on the program, these pictures that you're seeing. I'm trying to do this quickly. But the return on investment, we estimate that participants have about a combined taxable income of about $4.5 million. We also estimate that they employ approximately another 150 Floridians at an average of about $1,500 per year at an average rate of $18 an hour, which contributes to another $4 million into Florida's economy. And aside from the financial impact, the return on investment that can't be measured is the value of work, success, contribution, paying taxes, and maintaining independence. We've got attorneys, state and county government employees, engineers, theme park, cast members, data analysts, college professors. We have all kinds of folks on the program, and we're just below 100, which is actually a record for us, but it goes up and down. We lose people because they retire and that sort of thing. All right, I think I did it in 8 minutes. I'm here, and there's my contact information. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And so now I want to introduce to you our second resource is John T. Howell. He is the Department of Vocational Rehab Area 4 Director. He has his master's degree and he is a certified rehabilitation counselor. He's worked for Voc Rehab since 1996 with increasing duties over time. He supervises over 135 employees. I've worked with him on many committee. And so I will let him quickly have his 8 minutes. So John, please take it over. And we can see your slides.
All right, thank you, Denise. I really appreciate it. And really, I've enjoyed all of the presenters today. You know, when we talk about social capital and all the partnerships, today was really a special day, and I really appreciate FCIC putting this together. Vocational rehabilitation is strong partners with USF, with so many of the different presenters, with CARD, with FAAST, with the Learning Academy. I forgot what was the new name of the Learning Academy now. That was new information to me, so I was glad that I participated to get that hot off the presses. Really exciting. So very happy to be here. So as Denise was saying, my name is John Howell. I'm an Area 4 Director. And basically the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation helps people with disabilities to go to work and enhance their independence. There are over 90 different vocational rehabilitation offices throughout the state of Florida. My area covers the Tampa Bay area. And yes, I'm a proud USF Bull. I'm a graduate from the Rehabilitation Counseling Program. So happy to be here. Going through the vocational rehabilitation, we help people to obtain employment, and we help people to work in an environment where they're going to be successful. And we can also help people to maintain employment if they are currently employed but struggling with their employment because of their disabling condition. It's a wonderful program, and I think that it's one of the best kept secrets in the state of Florida. So we are an eligibility program, not an entitlement program. Basically, a person has to have a disabling condition that is a substantial impediment to their ability to work. They have to require services and they have to be able to benefit in terms of an employment outcome. Now, with vocational rehabilitation, we're considered a disability neutral program, meaning that we work with people with all types of disabling conditions, not just IDD. We work with people who have physical disabilities, mental health disorders, IDD, sensory impairments, basically everything except for people who are 100% blind. That's where they have the Division of Blind Services. So we've been around for over 100 years, and basically we've done the same thing since the end of World War I, and helping people with disabilities to go to work. It started off as a veterans program, then it expanded off into a civilian program. Some of the services that vocational rehabilitation can provide, one of the things that I want to point out is that we're considered a short-term program. Everything that the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation does has to result in an individual obtaining or maintaining that employment outcome. So everything that we do has to do with helping a person to either get or keep their job. So as you heard from several of the panelists previously, we've helped with education and training. We can help out with mental health services. We can help out with surgeries, different things like that, orthotics, prosthetics, job placement services, services, and as many of you know, through supported employment job coaching. Now, some of the other things that we can do is to help out with rehab engineering. We have a very strong partnership with the University of South Florida and their rehab engineering program. I think you heard some of the panelists mention vehicle modifications. We can help with vehicle modification. We can help with other accommodations like a home modification, as I think someone mentioned earlier, and then also a job site modification. So anything to help a person to obtain or maintain employment, a lot of those resources are available from the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. And of course, like I mentioned with our partnerships, the folks at FAAST and various other partners in the area. And honestly, I feel very fortunate to work in the Tampa Bay area because we have such strong rehab professionals in this area. And I truly believe that USF is the backbone of that strong system that we have. So it is a process. Yep. So going through, a person has to apply for services. We have to make an eligibility determination. Then we develop a plan. Rather than vocational rehabilitation using a support plan, we call it an IPE, or an individualized plan for employment. With that, that lists the type of occupation that the person is interested and able to do, the services that they require to help them to obtain that employment, and then their responsibilities. We go ahead, we implement those services, and then we follow up with job placement. Now, once a person has been working for at least 90 days or 180 days in the case of self-employment, then their case is closed. So we're not a lifelong program. We don't continue on for a long-term program. Now, if it is a case of supported employment, the providers will continue to provide those follow-along services even after the case has been closed from the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. As you can see, it is somewhat of a complex system, but at the end of the day, everything is about helping people with disabilities to go to work. As far as client responsibilities, one of the things that I really want to help people to focus on is the importance of good communication. I would really encourage our participants to contact their counselors on a regular basis, or whenever there's some type of event that has changed, whether the person has moved, their email has changed, their phone number has changed. Maintain really good contact with the VR counselor, and I would suggest calling that counselor at least on a monthly basis. Of course, the consumers have rights. If they disagree with the decision that they made, or they really just don't even understand why a counselor has made a decision, they can certainly appeal that decision and get some additional information coming from the area supervisor, the unit supervisor, area director, and we also have an ombudsman's program, or Disability Rights Florida. We want to make sure that people understand what decisions are being made. Here's my contact information, and going through, listening to the presentations earlier today, many of the presenters earlier were being asked about talent acquisition and what does talent actualized mean to those individuals. And one of the things, I'm a big Theodore Roosevelt buff, and one of the things that Teddy Roosevelt said is do what you can with what you have where you are. And to me, that is like a perfect quote for the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation and helping people with disabilities go to work. The vision of vocational rehabilitation is to become the first place that people with disabilities turn when seeking employment, but also a top resource for employers in need of qualified employees. So with that, I will go ahead and stop my presentation. And I'm not sure I did on time, but I think that was about as good as I can do. So thank you so much.
You did very well on time. I truly appreciate that.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you very much.
Alrighty.
Okay. And our final presenter of today is Dr. Kerri Morse. She has over 20 years of experience developing employment, education, and independent living programs for teens and adults with special needs. She worked for 9 years as an exceptional student education high school teacher in Broward County. She also works in she's also worked in the nonprofit sector since 2007, designing and overseeing programs while securing and managing a diverse funding portfolio. Kerri has a master's degree in special ed from the University of Florida and a doctorate degree in education from FAU, with a research focus on employment for young adults with disabilities and the utilization of technology to increase job performance and independence within the workplace. She's also owner of the Morse Consulting Group, LLC, and she has a mission to support nonprofits, communities, and government agencies in the development of employment, post-secondary, and independent living / housing solutions for individuals with special needs and their families. And she currently is the president of the Florida APSE, which is the Association for Persons Supporting Employment First, and has served on the board since 2016. Ms. Kerri, take it away.
Thanks for the introduction, Denise.
You're welcome.
So as Denise mentioned, I'm here to talk about using technology applications for employment. And I know this presentation is brief, but if anybody wanted to follow up with me, I do present this information and work with agencies across the Florida and beyond. So I'd be happy to speak to you about additional training opportunities. Today, we're just going to briefly go over how technology can be used across different stages of skill development related to employment. We also want to talk about best practices and what to consider when you're implementing video-based interventions. And also, we're going to talk about how to make sure that the technology that you choose is person-centered. So this slide is titled Addressing Barriers to Successful Employment Outcomes. There's an image of a graphic organizer on the left with success in the middle and 6 contributing factors on the outside, including job expectations, coaching and support, anxiety and mental health, executive functioning, job task performance, and social communication. So when a person is both happy and successfully employed, we could think of so many variables that contribute to that success beyond just proficiency with the essential job functions. So employers and employment support professionals really need to consider aspects that may present barriers to success and provide supports needed before those issues occur. So we're going to talk about how everyone can use technology to address these barriers. So this slide is titled Using Technology as an Evidence-Based Practice, and there's an image of a piece of paper with a magnifying glass on the right. There are states across the US, some of you may realize that like Tennessee and North Carolina that have initiatives and or legislation to become technology first states. Florida is not, however, but those states have developed a framework for systems change where technology is considered first the discussion of support options. So they consider technology first for a support to an individual with a disability and their family through person-centered approaches to promote meaningful participation, social inclusion, self-determination, and quality of life. So in addressing technology used as a support, we want to take a look at these evidence-based practices. Technology can be used to increase skill performance, can be used to reduce support prompts from paid staff. We can use technology to standardize the presentation of training instead of a person or a job coach utilizing different methodology each time a skill is taught. We can use technology to maintain skill performance and to generalize task performance across different tasks and settings. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So on this slide titled Skill Development, there's 4 boxes with the different stages of skill development. First, skill acquisition, then mastery, which is also considered fluency, maintenance, and then generalization. So thinking about job task skills, like entering data onto a spreadsheet or food prep in a kitchen. You could also think about soft skills like greeting customers or handling criticism. All of those skills follow the same sequence of skill development that you see here. So skill acquisition addresses teaching needs to be consistent and repetitive, like consistency with the same environment, You can use such as like prompting, and for those of you that use different ABA techniques like forward chaining, least to most prompting, all of those different methodologies can be used with skill acquisition or learning a new task. When you move into mastery, this is the instructor established standard of performance that may signal an acquisition of a novel skill or the conclusion of a phase of intervention. So a job coach, for example, would determine what the criteria for mastery is within a skill, say 80% across 3 to 4 trials, but it can really be different for each skill that's taught. Then the individual moves into maintenance, which is the continued performance of a skill over time once the teaching has ceased. There's different variables that can contribute to this maintenance, like how many opportunities do they have to complete the task, or how novel is the task to the learner. And then optimally, we want to move that individual into generalization so that they can perform the skill in different environments and in different ways, like folding a towel at home versus folding a towel at their job in a hotel. So we just use, we're referring to skill development because it's important to, it's important for teaching to take place that moves an individual through these competency areas, and it's really great to use technology to do so. So here's an example of the way that we can use technology across each of those levels of support. So technology can be used through the different stages of development. For example, you'll see step 1 is pre-teaching. So we use a social narrative, which we'll look at. Step 2, you would collect baseline. So there's a picture of a graph of a person collecting data there. Then step 3 would be skill acquisition. So learning a new skill, we could use video-based interventions. And then step 4 would be data collection again. And then we would move the individual into maintenance and generalization. And one example there could be using a QR code. And we'll take a closer look at these tools. So here we're just going to flip through the slides of a social narrative. A social narrative is an introduction to the skill and why it's important. You can introduce vocabulary. You can introduce a video model of the skill being performed, any information of when or when not to perform the skill, and examples and non-examples. So this is just a great social narrative. It was created by my colleague on Google Slides. So she used technology to create this mock room. She put her Bitmoji in there as a fun way to introduce the topic. So they're talking about getting ready for work in a restaurant, remembering the different reasons that you should wash your hands. There's a video model here, and I won't play it just because of time, but you can see this video model of washing your hands. And then a review of when and when not to wash your hands. So that was the social narrative. Video-based interventions can also be used on a variety of platforms. After the stages of pre-teaching and collecting baselines, we could use VBI or video-based interventions to teach a new skill, like skill acquisition. And here we are talking about ChoiceWorks. So this could be downloaded on your phone as an app. It's $15.99. It could help an individual become proficient in a job task. It could be used on multiple devices. They also have a really cool calendar that comes with it. You can upload your own pictures and videos, and individuals can use it to self-monitor their own tasks as well. Another tool that you may want to look into is called Life Sherpa. This one can help individuals move from skill acquisition to maintenance and generalization. It's available mainly for employment support providers to provide interventions in a more streamlined and proactive manner. They can use this as a tool for remote coaching supports. There's functions of video and calling interaction with the client on their job site. You could also push out reminders and reinforcements directly through the phone. And then there's different metrics that you could collect in job performance. There's also monitoring tools for the job coaches, like different timesheets, data collection, and different trainings that an agency can use. Another tool that I like using is creating QR codes. So QR codes, we're all familiar after COVID in restaurants and reading menus. Once an individual becomes proficient with a task, one option could be to transition them from using video-based interventions to this QR code. So for example, if someone performs a task at work infrequently, but still needs help reviewing the steps, this could be a really great and less invasive way of providing that support. So they're quick, they're easy, they're free to create. There's actually a TA here on the slide that goes through the different steps of creating a QR code using Google. And if the individual is creating it, it's really self-determination at its best. So this is kind of just a toolbox of all the supports that we just mentioned. One more I wanted to highlight is Kahoot, especially for pre-employment training. Kahoot is really fun way to engage groups of students in different learning technical terms or safety rules on the job. And then I've also just recently started using Padlet. I don't know if anybody's familiar, but you could post resources in an interactive manner. So this one you see here, Success at Work, it's aimed to provide resources for groups of students or clients who are seeking employment or currently working. So you could post videos or different reminders or checklists here. It has free options to get started as well as low-cost monthly membership options. And I just wanted to draw attention that technology shouldn't be a yes or a no intervention for clients. I think that everybody should have access to technology as a support, but it's really important to go through different features and consider barriers to technology and then address those barriers and help with skill development. Maybe it's, the client needs to work on managing their belongings or needs help with dexterity or executive functioning in order to properly use technology. But using a checklist like this could really help someone, access in a way that's most appropriate for them and help them with skill development. So that was a real quick overview, but if anybody has any questions or would like to talk more about technology use in the world of work, you're welcome to reach out to me. And my email is there and my website as well. Thank you so much.
Please visit our website for more information about our programs, projects, and how you can get involved.